comprehend America's financial crisis and work together to dramatically cut spending?
Thank you. Well, here's what I would do. Remember when President Obama said, I'm going to go in, I have this person, and we're going to look through everything? Do you remember that? Then she, left? And then we never saw from her? And then what happened? In my business, you have to go in and look and see what is the fat, what is not working, what are we overpaying. Hey, here's an idea, when you do it in Illinois, let's open the books. Let's get the books open, let's look at everything, let's look at the regulations. We need to come in and be comprehensive. As a mother and a wife and a business owner, I multitask. And that's what you've got to do. We can't just go down and say, we're only going to do this. It has to be everything because we don't have much time left. I don't know if you're feeling that, but I'm feeling that. We can't go up there and just have one specific thing or have one mantra. We have to look at absolutely everything. I'll look at regulations. I'm going to see the business side of it. I'm going to see the medical aspect of it. I want Obamacare overturned. I want that gone. Mandates. And here's my point. How is that going to cut the deficit? Because when you get rid of waste in your own home, when you clean up a credit card and you cut that up, guess what happens? You don't have that waste anymore, right? That's the common sense you needed in the government as well. I know they try to say, oh, you can't run the government like your household. I find that very hard to believe.
I think I would articulate that by bringing it down to what we do in our own family budget. Like Lene and I have a family budget. We can't spend money that we don't have. The other way is that each man, woman, and child who lives in this country, 5 years ago, we all owed $127,000. It's each man, woman, and child, that's what we owed. And now it's $164,000 for every man, woman, and child. And we can't sustain that. So that's how I would articulate that.
I agree with the first two here, but I would take it a step further. I'd love to have Dave Ramsey appointed Secretary of Treasury.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Kathy. I follow those principles in my house, and it's something that I think we don't talk about enough in Washington. There's always the opportunity to talk about, well, we can't stop spending here. It has to happen. Well, you know what? That's what the courage is all about. I want to take that courage out there to Washington. I stood in front of many Republicans, as I mentioned in my remarks, and I cut an operating budget that they had. They told me couldn't be cut. They couldn't get any legal. You know what that operating budget was? It was $900,000 a year to walk in, turn on the light switch. $900,000. Guess what I cut it to? 120. They said it can't be done. It didn't make some people happy. But you know what? That's the same attitude I want to take to Washington. And I know the federal budget. I know where we can cut. And we will not have any more cylinders if I go to Congress.
I would try to focus on some of the foreign policy implications of our national debt. I think that it requires reframing this issue because people have often heard about comparing the deficit to the family budget. But I think when you talk about some of the long-term foreign policy implications, it starts to get people's attention. For example, our national debt right now is about $15.6 trillion. China owns over $1 trillion of that debt. When you have countries that own that debt, that really influences the way in which you can stand up to countries if you think they're abusing human rights, if you think they are interfering with some of the international obligations. If you are worried that they're going to call the debt, then you're in a position where you have to sort of stand down in your positions. So I think talking to Americans about the way in which this compromises our ability to stand up for American principles is a way that might convey the sense of urgency.
Thank you. We'll start with Jerry this time. Susan Butler of Urbana asks, will you support the Ryan budget proposal? If not, why?
I would support the Ryan budget in concept. There's some tweaks that I think that I would want to do to it, but in concept, he was right on. I mean, we can't spend money we don't have.
Ditto.
Thank you.
I support the